Thank you. There are a number of people who are sitting in here who have no idea who I am, and they're going, what is this response? Who doesn't know who I am? Well, it's a pleasure to meet you all. So as you heard earlier, I studied ministry here, and I was the center admin. I was the J for 6 years here at this center. And I left here 19 months ago to go take over the ministry in Toronto, Ontario. And it's been a wild ride there in Canada. I love Canada. I love Canada. Totally get it, Sharon, who is Canadian, by the way. Totally get it. It's a beautiful country, and I'm so grateful to be there. Just a couple of things to know about Canada. We don't eat pasta. We eat pasta. Some things that I have learned. Yes, we eat pasta. We don't drink soda, but we do drink pop. I don't drink any of that stuff. What else? We don't have dollar bills, but we have loonies, which are dollar coins. What else? What else is good about Canada? Lots is good. About. That phoneme is called British short O. We don't use it in the United States. Anyway, that's all neither here nor there. You want me to be inspiring today, right? If I must. A couple of things are going on for me. First of all, Alex Robert Holmes, I know that you can hear me up in the control room. No, you cannot write music like Gary Lynn Floyd or like Amy Steinberg or like Levi Christ, but you write music like you, and that's what's important. And it is no mistake that so Alex and I are best friends. That also may be something you don't know. Alex and I have been best friends for years, and it is no mistake that, of course, he's the practitioner on the day that I'm back here. It wasn't planned, but it was planned by Spirit. And it is no mistake that Amy Steinberg, goddess of my soul, is here performing music. And I have to tell you, so that song is off of her brand new album, which I contributed to on her Kickstarter campaign. It is one of the most brilliant albums I've ever gotten. And I'm telling you, please do buy her album. I know you don't want to hear me pitch things up here, but please do buy her album. It is unbelievably good. All right, so take a breath. Repeat after me. I am here.
I am here.
I am happy.
I am happy.
I am harmonious.
I am harmonious.
I am healthy.
I am healthy.
I am God.
I am God.
I am God.
I am God.
I am God. That's the truth. Now, check in right now. After making those affirmations, check in with yourself right now. To what degree might you feel uncomfortable about affirming I am God? Just check in. See where you are with that. It took me a long time. I got my start right here. I was sitting, I'm going to point right about there when I first came into this center on a Sunday morning and I heard Reverend James Mellon speak. That was in 2005. And it was about 6 months later that I said, I haven't missed a Sunday service since, basically. It was about 6 months later I said, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be a minister. And started my studies right away. But it made me very uncomfortable at first to hear the words, I am God. So I thought, oh, I don't get that. I've lived under a different paradigm my entire life. I did not grow up. Now, first of all, I did not grow up in a religion. I didn't go to church growing up. And so the concept of I am God seemed, in this box over here. And I couldn't understand why would anybody claim to be God? Oh, hi, Caressa. It's because of Caressa McElhaney that I am actually standing here before you today. No, so here's the question. It freaked me out. I was like, I am God. I don't get that. It made me so uncomfortable. To what degree does that phrase still make you uncomfortable? Because I know that James challenges you every single week with this concept to have the deep embodiment and understanding, I am God. We are that divine presence, fully realized in this form right here and right now, in this time and place. But we are God, each and every one of us. Now, the belief and the fear, I'm going to move this, it's driving me crazy. It's like in my center. I just take over. The belief and the fear is rooted in what we hear from society. A lot of the messaging that we get is that we have to be separate, that God is something outside of the self, right? And it is ingrained in us, and it's ingrained in us in ways that we aren't even fully conscious of. Because there is a collective consciousness that pervades this entire experience that we have. And within this collective consciousness, we are getting messages all the time. And we accept them on a subconscious level, not even realizing that we're accepting them. So when we talk about consciousness creates, yes, consciousness creates, but subconsciousness also creates. So start to become aware of what's happening in the subconscious, and that is how you begin to shift your experience into creating an extraordinary life. That's why that's why I love your song. And I actually requested this particular song. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. That's the important thing about what Amy is saying in her song. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Because what happens is as you repeat, you begin to create a new tendency in thought. You create a new habit in your thinking process. Canadian. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of God in me. You know what I love? And actually, I'm going to make a little lyric change here. I surrender to the presence of God as me. That's the truth. God is not just in you. God is you. So we have this conscious mind that we are aware of and we are using all the time. And we have this subconscious mind that we are not aware of and we are using all the time. Now, I've read studies that say in this consciousness, your conscious awareness is about 10%. That means 90% of your consciousness is subconscious. So think about that. You've got 90% that's subconscious, 10% that's conscious, but 100% is creating your experience. Now, the great news is we are steeped in a philosophy and in a teaching that allows you to have the understanding that as you shift your conscious awareness and as you embody your conscious awareness of one thing and one thing only, God is all there is and it's who and what I am. You begin to shift the subconscious. You begin to affect the 90%. So, make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of God in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I am practicing the presence of the goddess in me. It is so important to be so acutely aware and to start to become acutely aware of your habitual thinking. Because I hear it all the time. I have people who come into me for counseling, and it's, counseling is an interesting thing, especially as a minister. When you're a spiritual counselor, and you sit and you listen, right, Keith? Absolutely. Right? You sit and you listen to people, and they're telling you their story. You're like, it's a lovely story, but what's really going on underneath the story? I invite you all today to start to get acutely aware of what it is underneath the story that you are telling. To really become very aware of what is the belief underneath the thinking that is creating the story. Because the story is just the story. And who cares about the story? The story are just the facts. I talked about it last week in my center in Toronto. The story are just the facts. Facts are pliable. Facts are just something right here and right now, and if you change your belief, the facts must change. It was a fact. It was a fact that the world was flat. It was a fact that the sun revolved around the earth. It was a fact that we were separate from God, but we are coming to a deeper understanding of the truth, which is we are God. Everybody's so wrapped up. Take a breath. Repeat after me. I am here.
I am here.
I am happy.
I am happy.
I am harmonious.
I am harmonious.
I am healthy.
I am healthy.
I am God.
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 Are you feeling a little more okay with that now? So, habitual thinking. As we have habitual thinking, the concept of being able to step into the shift of what is really going on at all times is paramount to changing your life. We've heard it a gazillion times. Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. It's become rote within this philosophy. And that's true, but for me it really is about change your belief, change your life. Because it's not just the conscious awareness, the conscious awareness that will change everything. We've become, I've coined a new thing. We've become what I believe we can call demonstration junkies. Now, who here knows, when I say demonstration, knows what I'm talking about? Roughly half of you. Okay, so I'm going to explain what demonstration is within the context of this philosophy. A demonstration is the result of your thinking. So, we believe in a creative process. Cause and effect. The cause is 100% in mind. I've already said that. What shows up in your experience is the effect or the demonstration. So, this experience right now is a demonstration of my conscious thought. Your experience of this is a demonstration of your consciousness. Everything 100% in your life is a demonstration of consciousness. There is nothing that is not. Nothing. So when I talk about demonstration, I believe we become demonstration junkies. And this is what I mean when I say that. We teach mainly 3 spiritual practices within this philosophy. We teach meditation. So you come here on a Sunday morning and we have a meditation practice, and you may have a meditation practice in your own life. We also teach affirmation. During the service, we do affirmations. For instance, I am here. I am healthy. I am harmonious. I am happy. I am God. That's an affirmation. And it is meant to put your conscious mind into that place where you're starting to ingrain onto the subconscious a new idea. And then we have this thing called spiritual mind treatment, which sounds really clinical. And I think there's a reason that that terms like treatment were used to take it away from a religious paradigm. And actually, for me personally, I'm moving it back into saying, you know what, it's prayer. It is prayer. But when I understand prayer as being, I am God, I am praying as the divine, not to the divine, then I begin to create something new and exciting in my life. But what happens, I think, and what I see happening in these people that come to me for spiritual counseling is they're looking for the one demonstration that's going to fix it all. They come to me with their issues and their stories, and they think that some magical way I'm going to be able to sit there and pray and say one thing that's going to change their entire experience. And maybe it will. But what I'm always working toward is helping them understand that it is a habitual thought process that needs to be shifted, not one demonstration. So many of us want that one demonstration. It's like, oh, I'm sick, and I repeatedly get sick, but I'm not going to worry about the fact that I repeatedly get sick. I'm sick, so right now I'm going to demonstrate pure, perfect health right in this moment. And then you demonstrate pure, perfect health, and you go about your life. And maybe a couple months down the road, oh gosh, I got sick again. Well, what has not been addressed is what is the habitual thinking that has led to the misunderstanding there. That's why I like this concept. It's kind of a new thing for me, like really recognizing that we are demonstration junkies. And it's like, oh, I got to get my demonstration on. Yeah. It's true. There's only one pure, perfect understanding that we must have to truly create an extraordinary life, and that is, I am God. I am God. As I look out and see every single one of your faces, I recognize you as God. And that's so important to me because it is a reminder to me that when I look in the mirror, the face I see looking back at me is God. Now, there's also this concept that I lived with for a while that when we say, I am God, people may come in here and misunderstand what we're talking about and think, you have the audacity to say, I am God? Yes, but I'm not leaving anyone else out of the equation. To say I am God, for me, is actually the great equalizer. Because there is no single person out there who is not God. And when I really get that, then I look at Bob Morrissey. God bless you, Bob Morrissey. And I recognize God in you and that we are equal. Yes, you had a very different acting career than I did. But I have a very different ministry than you do. And in what we do, when we dive into it fully and passionately and recognize that it is the process and the effect of being divine, then life becomes play and not work. I was having a conversation after a class I was teaching in Toronto a couple months ago, and we were talking about the concept of retiring. I have a lot of people in my congregation, my community right now, who are of the age where people typically retire. And people have asked me, about retirement, and I'm a young guy, and I think to myself, I started off by saying, I don't think I'll ever retire. I don't think I'll ever retire. I love what I do so much that I don't think I'll ever retire. And then I had to turn it around and think, wait a second, I already am retired. I'm retired from the world of thinking that I have to work to make money to live a good life. That's not true. If I am God, and the abundance of God is flowing through me at all times, I trust and know that I am fully provided for in any situation. And so my work now is play. And it's not that I don't work. I work. I do. I work very hard, but I love what I do. And if I don't love what I do, I find the place within where I can love it. How about you? Where are you on this path? Where are you on this journey? Ernest Holmes writes this. I'm going to take a sip of water. Dr. Ernest Holmes. He was a very wise man. He writes this: if every day things are a little better, a little happier, a little more harmonious, a little more health-giving and joyous, if each day we are expressing more life, we are going in the right direction. Because if you are not in every moment of your experience expressing more life, what are you expressing? Less life. And I'm not up here to berate anyone. I just want to say, check in with yourself, because that's the best tool that we have. The ability to check in with ourselves and say, is this what I want? Because if it's not what you want, you have the responsibility, and I do mean responsibility, to get your life on track, and nobody else is going to do it for you. Now, when I talk about responsibility, I am not talking about blame. There's a huge difference. Because a lot of times people hear me say, you are responsible for your life and your expression of life, and what they're hearing is, you are to blame for everything in your life. No. Now, I've had my experiences of things that have not gone so great in my life. I talk about them a lot, with the understanding that because I have learned from those experiences, I now have the ability to respond in a different way. And that is responsibility. In every given moment, the past no longer matters. The only thing that matters is who I am right here, right now. Who I was sitting in that chair 20 minutes ago does not matter. Who am I now? And what is my life now? And am I in a frame of mind to have a deeper understanding and embodiment of the one thing that I must know at all times, and that is, I am God. Because that's the tendency that I choose to embody in thought. That is the new habit of thought. And as I embody that habit, and I look out and I see the faces of God everywhere, and not just in faces, this is God too. The stage is God. Actually, okay. The stage looks a little snowy. So I thought, how appropriate that you would make it look like Black-Eyed Johnny was going to be here. For those of you who don't know, what's that? Broadway reference. Not a Broadway reference, but musical theater reference for sure. For those of you who don't know, I played a character named Black-Eyed Johnny for years in a show here. What's that? Har, matey. Okay. So, change your thinking, change your life. It's so funny. I always prepare notes, and I'm so whatever, they're gone. So, the tendency of your thought is always triumphant. That's why today's talk, tendency, triumphant. The tendency of your thought is always triumphant. So, if you have a demonstration in your life that you have created, but is not in line with the tendency of your thinking, the tendency of your thought is what is triumphant. Because here's what happens. Here's your demonstration. Here's the tendency of your thought, which is supporting something happening in your life. So even though you may demonstrate this little itty-bitty bit, the tendency will take over and shift it back if you're not becoming fully aware, again, of the one thing, I am God. The tendency of your thought is your life. Does not create your life. The tendency of your thought is your life. It is a paradigm of wholeness. And in the understanding, I am God, you can step into that paradigm of wholeness more fully. So I'm going to change your lyrics a little bit. We have 7 attributes of God, right? I like the 8th one too. I'll tell you what the 8th one is. Love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, joy, and for me, number 8 is wisdom. I added that. The 7 are from Thomas Troward. So, in spiritual practice, whatever your spiritual practice is, meditation, affirmation, visioning, treatment, whatever your spiritual practice is, it's probably a combination of all of these things. One of the things that I enjoy is going into meditation with mantras. And as I step into the concept of using a mantra, I actually will most likely now start using a mantra that I've learned from Amy Steinberg. But I'm going to switch it up, right? Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of love in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of life in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of light in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of peace in me. Make a mental step, one path, repeat. I surrender to the presence of power in me. Make a mental step, one path, repeat. I surrender to the presence of beauty in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of joy in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of wisdom in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of God as me. Check in with yourself right now. Check in with the energy of the room. That's spiritual practice. All spiritual practice is there to do is to remind you of who you are. Spiritual practice is there to bring us back to the garden of understanding, to allow us to remember what the collective consciousness is so trying to get us to forget. So today, whatever it takes, allow your tendency to be triumphant. Allow your tendency and thought to be triumphant. Step into a deeper understanding and allow yourself to step into being God Not just giving it lip service, but really getting it. That you are the presence of the divine, no matter what. Namaste.